Colin Cowherd is back spitting takes on Caleb Williams and the Bears. He sounded off on the early reports after the first two practices of Caleb and the Bears' offense's struggles. So I'm going to kind of show what he said. I'll react to it, and we'll give a measured take on what we should expect from Caleb and the offense moving forward. But if you want to help us out, share this video on social media. YouTube allows you to do that. You just click the share icon, little curved arrow like that, and then it gives you a few different options. You can share it to Facebook. You can share it to X/Twitter. You can also text it to a friend. I think the message icon pops up, and you can just text it to your buddies. I don't think Instagram is on the share icon for some reason, but if you want to post the link in some capacity over there as well, you could certainly do that. Try to get as many Bears fans in here as possible on today's show. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. Colin Cowherd, who now is based out of Chicago, so I think you're going to be hearing him talk more Bears football, discussed Caleb Williams' early struggles at training camp as it's not just Caleb, I don't think. I think the offense is just kind of out of sync. It's rusty coming off of OTAs, 6 weeks off. So the first two practices have not been great. Here's what Cowherd said, and then we'll kind of react as we go. He said, "It was a disaster yesterday. At one point, Ben Johnson was barking at Caleb Williams. He pulled the first team offense off the field. It was a disaster for Caleb Williams yesterday." Well, clearly over-exaggerated by Cowherd. Not because I was there and analyzed every play, but because Ben Johnson said, all things considered, first practice, he was happy with how everything went. So I'll take Ben's word for that. Doesn't mean it was a good practice. I think it's fair to say that the first 2 days have not been great for the offense. There's been pre-snap penalties and other issues not lining up properly. A lot of, I think, rust-based things. And certainly we get a little anxious as Bears fans because the defense always outperforms the offense this time of year. But I do think calling it a disaster when the pads aren't even on yet and we're 2 light practices into camp is a bit of an exaggeration from Uncle Colin. He continues here. Some of the OTA's issues resurfaced, not getting the play right, looking disorganized, not getting the footwork right. 2 things could be true. I think he's a huge talent. I also think his critics are valid. 2 things are true once again, he says. Caleb Williams is talented, but you're starting to see last year in OTAs and camp. Some of the same problems might not be as easy to correct as we think. Well, we have to remember a couple of things here. Number one, last year, and as time went on and more reporting was done and players having to hold a meeting with Shane Waldron was not zeroed in on the details and was not zeroed in on enforcing the details. He let shit slide. That was well documented, well reported. Mercedes Lewis and other veterans had to sit him down and say, you need to coach us harder. That was just not going to work. That never worked out last year. This year is not that. Ben Johnson is harping on the details. He is not afraid to shout at Caleb and other guys and coach these guys hard, and they have been receptive to it. So what is my point in saying all of that? I do think it is up to Caleb to take the proper steps because he is getting coached well. We know schematically Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. We know that this offensive line should be improved, barring multiple injuries. The skill talent is there. So I will agree in the sense that while calling it a disaster 2 days in is ridiculous and hyperbolic, I do think if we look up and it's November, December, and it hasn't been a great year for Caleb, whereas last year there was a lot of coaching issues you could point to, could that happen? Sure, we haven't seen Ben and these guys coaching a game yet, but I think if he struggles, it's going to be more on the quarterback this year. He's a year older. He's got the best offensive coach that was available, even more weapons to work with. And I'm still confident it's going to come. It's going to click. It's going to happen. We've already seen it. He had big-time moments and stretches last year. He's talented. He's capable. We've seen it. It's not like we haven't, but it's about seeing it more. It's about it clicking. It's about him growing in this offense. And again, we are 2 days in to his first training camp with Ben Johnson, and pads aren't even on yet. We do have to give this some time, but it's also fair to be critical, and I've called it out. Like, through 2 days, it's been sloppy. Needs to improve. To call it a disaster 2 days in, though, I think that's a little extreme. Do you believe Caleb Williams will pan out? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I'm not selling my stock. I still think he's the guy. I still think he's going to be really good. And I am buying Caleb Williams stock. I'm typing my Y for yes. I'm also buying Brunt stock. Seriously. Brunt boots, are you kidding me? These things are absolutely fantastic. First of all, they just look great, and they are very durable, very comfortable. The best working boots I have ever owned come from Brunt. And listen, I'm a homeowner. I know a lot of you guys are too, or maybe you work in construction. If you do, you need quality working boots. Brunt provides that, both comfort and durability that you need to get these jobs done. I went through so many different working boots before I found Brunt. I was always left with foot pain, blisters. They weren't waterproof. These are. The Marin boots are the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. You can have durable work boots that are as comfortable as your sneakers. They are lightweight, they are waterproof, they are slip and oil resistant, heat resistant, and electrical hazard rated. Brunt lets you try the boots on the job risk-free, and all their products have free shipping, so join the 500,000+ customers and join the Brunt family today. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work way too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up, so they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, you can get $10 off at Brunt when you use our code CHAT at checkout. That's CHAT, chat at bruntworkwear.com. You can also just go to bruntworkwear.com/chat, promo code inserted for you, and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor. Tell them we sent you. Bears Now by Chat Sports. Link will be in the comments and the description. Get going with Brunt today. Okay, let's continue here. How long is the leash? And not in terms of, like, would you bench him? I mean, we'll get to this, but he's playing all this year, barring something unforeseen. But from a fan base, from an outsider watching, how quickly should Caleb produce notable results? Like, we're going to be critical all year. I'm already being critical. Offense needs to be better. It's too choppy to start. But when can we realistically expect, like, hey, it's week blank now, why is it not getting better? Hopefully we never ask that question, but I think that is a fair one to ask. Well, Colin Cowherd gives his stance on that. He said we're going to know by early October if this guy can play. The coach is fine. The offensive line has been upgraded. The weapons are good enough. I don't want to hear about the Bears' daunting schedule. They're favored in 4 of their first 6 games. I'm not asking you to chop it up and be dominating in September. Bo Nix with Sean Payton was bad in September, but by October he had a passer rating of 103. Jared Goff was 0-7 as a rookie. Got Sean McVay. He went from 0-7 to his first September with McVay, a passer rating of 118. It just doesn't take that long. We need major elevation and significant improvement by late September and early October. I used to be a big believer of give a QB until year 3. Now, I think it's Thanksgiving of year 2. So he's basically saying October, November, we need to see clear growth and signs of elevation, and if we don't, that's a problem. Now, whether you agree with that, disagree with that, it's hard to say. I do think, like, even in the early weeks, you should be like, okay, even if it's not fully clicking, like, you can feel how it is improving and is better compared to last year. The bottom line is he is getting all of this season, barring just an embarrassing level of play. Like, he'd have to play worse than last year. I've said, if last year's the floor, if he's playing better than that, he's getting all of this year, and he's probably getting all of next year. This is a marriage between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Now, I do think if it didn't work with Caleb, Ben would get a crack with another quarterback, and he should if it came down to that. But I don't think there's a high probability world where he's not the starter all year this year, barring injury, and next year as well. Now, I will say this, if it's week 9 and this team's 2-6 or something like that, and he's playing worse than last year, it's like, okay, like, that's going to be a problem. I also don't think that's very likely. I've said it. He's going to improve and play better. How much better can he get? That is the question, because I do think he needs to get notably better to be a high-end franchise guy. A small step forward, like if he improved by 10%, I'd be like, okay, you know, he's the 15th, 16th best quarterback in the NFL, whereas right now he's probably 20 to 23, 20 to 25, whatever the case may be. If he improved 10%, he's mid-late teens. I'd feel a lot better if he's more like top 12 heading into next year. If he had 4,000 plus yards, and it just looked better too. Like, you kind of know it when you see it. I would feel a lot better if that were the case. I feel good about the infrastructure for him to get that done. Like I said, it's up to Caleb to get that done. Doesn't mean the coaching doesn't matter. It clearly does. I just think the coaching is going to be there. I think the scheme is going to be good for Caleb, and he's just got to produce. It's as simple as that. So, and I think too, I think we got to raise the standards, and this is me included, especially in the Justin Fields era. I felt like we just kept giving him excuses. And look, he got dealt a pretty bad hand. He got drafted by a regime that was halfway out the door. They completely gutted the roster, which was smart, by the way, but it didn't help out Justin's development. Getsy wasn't very good. You know, I'm not acting like Justin had a great chance, but I think time has shown, like, yeah, he had his limitations, and we should have called those out sooner. Like, I'm going to be hard on Caleb this year. If they lose week 1, am I punting on him? No. Like, I think that's kind of the difference, whereas Cowherd is saying it's been a disaster through 2 days. Colin, they're barely doing anything. It's like OTAs, the first 4 or 5 practices without the pads. But at the same time, we can be critical. We can call things out. Yeah, let's not have 3 false starts tomorrow. Like, let's do a better job. So, and again, he was the number 1 pick, guys. If he's not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, like, I guess if he's 12th, considering the history of this franchise, that would still be a good pick. But when you take a guy number 1, you're expecting a top 10 pick. I promise you, the Titans are expecting Cam Ward to eventually become a top 10 quarterback in the NFL because they took him number 1 overall. He's the number 1 pick. He's talented as hell. He's got the physical attributes. I think he has what it takes, but we have to see it. We just have to see it. The expectation should be high. Ben has set the expectations. Yeah, I challenge Caleb. Let's complete 70% of our throws this year. I know it's a lofty goal, but that's what we're striving for. Caleb's saying, yeah, I want to be the first 4,000-yard passer. I want to hit 70%. They have the expectations for themselves. Why shouldn't we have those expectations as fans for this team and for this quarterback? Doesn't mean it has to happen by week 2, but like by the end of this season, we need to feel really good about Caleb's development and where he's going heading into next year. What are your expectations for Caleb this year? I think that's where it is for me. When the season ends, regardless of how many games they won and lost, ideally, they're a playoff team, this and that, all that stuff, do you feel really good heading into year 3? Because I feel good heading into year 2. I still think the positives outweighed the negatives last year, and now you got Ben and all this other stuff. But we do need to see another notable step this year. And kind of going back to the schedule point, and I kind of wanted to tie it into something that Ben Johnson said as well. Yeah, like the first 2 games are going to be tough, but you get the Vikings at home. JJ's first start, that's manageable. At Detroit, you can kind of just let it rip. Cowboys at home, at Raiders, 2 winnable games. You got the Saints in week 7. But like that week 5 bye, Ben Johnson's pointed to it. With that early bye after the first 4 weeks, should come out of the bye like kind of starting to really click. Now, obviously you're saying, wait, so the next 6 weeks of training camp, it's not going to click. First month, it's not going to click. Not that it's not going to click, but it's like, okay, there's less bumps in the road ideally at that point. Like that's really when the takeoff point could be. Like maybe you go 2-2 first month, there's some ups, there's some downs, get the bye week, boom, hit the ground running after. Like that would be kind of an ideal setup. And then, you know, you make a push the second half of the season, maybe you win 10, 11 games. We'll have to wait and see. But in the end, for Caleb Williams, regardless of raw stats, regardless of this and that and the other, like I want to see enough that tells me, hey, I feel very good about this guy heading into 2026. He's a franchise quarterback. I don't know if he's the 3rd best in the league or the 9th best or the 12th, but he's a franchise quarterback in the NFL that I still feel really good about being a top 10 quarterback in this league year in and year out. Ideally, he's that this year, but that's kind of the baseline for me. I want to go into year 3 feeling great about where Caleb is. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this episode of Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. We will continue to pump out content on a daily basis, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel.